The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, what was meant to be union action that would bring the Bahamas to its knees did a little more than create a ripple in a pond today, as unions that fall under the TUC umbrella seemingly backed out at the last minute. So what happened? Also, where do those union agreements stand? Agreements that many say have been agreed to with the many meetings that took place, but are just hanging in the balance. Also, the MOU, much talked about since 2021, where does that stand tonight? And has the government lived up to the agreements made and signed off on the MOU? It's all coming up straight ahead for you this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, today, of course, if you paid attention to social media yesterday, you would have seen and heard that this today would have been a day where the Bahamas came to its knees and business came to a standstill, whether it's travel, tourism, many industries. The school and education really would have been crippled today because of industrial action ordered by Obie Ferguson and the TUC. But anything but that happened. In fact, many union leaders came out and volunteered information that they would not be participating in the industrial action. We will hear from the president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers in just a moment. But this evening, we're going to get to the bottom of what brought union relations to this point, when seemingly unions were having a wonderful relationship with the government, getting a number of things addressed, and also getting those outstanding issues from years ago also brought to the table, brought to right now, and also agreed to and addressed. Well, we're going to put those questions to the Minister of Labor, who joins me this evening. I am happy to have you here. I know you've had a long and full day. Good evening to you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Minister Pia Glover-Roll.
Good evening, Shanique. It's a pleasure to be here after a long and full day.
A long and full day is correct. Well, I know that you're smiling, one, because really the threat that went out yesterday was nothing to laugh at. In fact, it really appeared as though schools would come to a standstill. The healthcare center, public health in the nation, and so many other things, travel, as immigration and customs as well fall under the TUC. Just so much was at risk, but really none of it happened. What are you hearing that caused unions to say, wait, let's put the brakes on?
Shanique, I'm a woman of the word. Proverbs speaks about committing your work unto the Lord. And we have worked. This government, this administration has committed to addressing labor concerns through constructive dialogue, through maturity, and ensuring that we are in the meantime safeguarding the interests of Bahamians. I think the unions, the majority of them, have recognized that. One way in which they've recognized it is legacy issues, thousands of legacy issues that we met in office.
Literally thousands?
Thousands, and thousands across our labor front, and that's public and private, are being addressed and resolved. Yes, some are taking a little longer than others. These are legacy issues. Some were addressed immediately, some are being addressed in the medium term, and some will take the long term. But to say that nothing is happening, nothing is being addressed, that's false. And the proof is in the pudding. Because the good thing about having meetings is they're minuted. You can go back and you can refer to your notes. The good thing about the labor front is it's documented by data. So we can go back and and I love being able to check off, qualify what has been done. When we look at the millions of dollars paid out in increments, back pay, promotions. Industrial agreements to the Bahamian citizens, they see it in their bank accounts. So how can it not have happened if it actually did?
Well, the thing is, though, and what's funny, and everybody sort of scratched their head today, those of us on the outside looking in and say, well, what is this major unrest about? What is this call to action about to basically, again, bring the country to its knees and bring business to a standstill when everyone, including the government, yourself, and the Prime Minister, and the various union leaders are saying, listen, no, this administration has had an open door and continues to have an open door policy. Things are being discussed. Some things have been done. Many are still outstanding. Many appear to be stalled. So persons were like, and I'm talking varying ages, varying sectors. We're saying, okay, then we'll keep it going.
We got to this place of 53 overall industrial agreements signed and one on the way this week to 54, but 30 industrial agreements that affect the government sector signed through social dialogue. And see, Shanique, I'm a well-traveled woman. I believe in benchmarking. The Bahamas has a level of tripartism and social dialogue that other countries envy. Not because I'm thinking they envy, they tell us. They are envious of the fact, how do you have quarterly meetings? I was asked by an African nation, a big African nation, how do you get the unions to meet with you quarterly? We invite them. What do you discuss?
So they ask you this because their relationship is hostile with their unions.
There are nations around the world who cannot sit government, employer, confederations, and trade unions to a table. We do it quarterly. We do it daily and weekly. From the level of Department of Labor, our director, our labor consultant, the Minister of Labor, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and other ministers. This that we are taking for granted, Shanique, this social dialogue that was a whole topic at an international labor conference a few months ago. Social dialogue was the theme. That we are, as Bahamians, are seemingly taking for granted should not be. The fact that we have open lines of communication, I see, you see a little feedback here and there, or talk, all I want to do is talk. But talking, social dialogue is how we got to industrial agreements signed and honored. Let's talk about that. I keep hearing...
I want to hear you talk about honored because,
they're not honored.
Because the criticism today is, and of course yesterday in the viral notes and forwards, it's like, listen, all this administration doing is talking. Yeah, we talk, we do meet and talk, but now start sort of fleshing out and putting meat on some of the things we talk about and the agreements made.
Let's talk about that, because that is another reason why I'm aware that a number of members of unions did not participate today, because the proof is in the pudding. Industrial agreements signed and honored, which means the benefits of those agreements is realized by the members. Not the government, the members. When you talk about 7 increments over a 3-year period, and July 2025 brings us to the end of that 3-year period, the benefits have been honored over the course of those 3 years. When you talk about increments, increases, back pay, these things, these benefits, insurance comes through the industrial agreements. There are, I think, matters of allowances that are in question for 1 or 2 unions because it's a fiscal anomaly that's being worked out. But when I see the commentary that the agreements aren't being honored, I don't understand, because the agreements are being honored because we're almost at the end of the agreements now and about to sign new ones.
Oh, really?
So that is absolutely erroneous.
Now, we saw, for example, the air traffic controllers, teachers, nurses, doctors, the other unions escape me at the moment, but several really were supposed to participate today. And I understand maybe a trickling of the doctors and nurses union unions participated in the sick-out. The others basically said, nope, we like how it's going, but government, listen, step up on it, but it's good. We can give you the benefit of the doubt, keep this moving in the right direction.
And I agree with them. I came out of the private sector. Things do happen a little too slowly sometimes in government.
Yes.
But that's why I've been aggressive. That's why the government has been aggressive in ensuring that we are delivering on the promise, and where we can, we are consistently communicating, and timelines are being put in place. I had my final 2024 quarterly meetings with the unions, all of them, the week of December 16th. And matters that weren't addressed in the meeting or subsequent to the meeting, we gave timelines on, and we agreed to come back to revisit any outstanding matters in our quarterly meeting in March. We agreed to all. On leaving the meetings, people say, oh, why y'all say y'all surprised? Because when we leave the meeting and the meeting closes with the union presidents saying how happy they are, when they're saying how they are so grateful for the resolve and they're so grateful for the open door policy, and yes, we have more work to do. And let me assure the Bahamian public, I want a job. So I want the unions to continue to have issues to resolve. And as a government, as a country, we'll have issues to resolve, because if we don't have issues to resolve, there will be no need for us to be here.
Yeah.
So there will always be issues. But when we deal with the big issues and we're left with the small issues, we're in a good place.
So the government didn't trick, because I'll tell you, the first thing that almost came to mind is like, y'all got sucker punched with that MOU, because look at y'all now. We'll get to that in a moment about that MOU, but much talked about and hyped for a number of years now, and continues to sort of come up every minute that there's a union issue. But let's just talk about maybe some areas where there are issues outstanding for certain unions that are on the table and being discussed and addressed now.
Absolutely. One that is very pertinent, and you will see today that the doctors participated, a small number of the nurses participated. The doctors do have an agreement that is waiting to be signed and being negotiated. There were 4 outstanding matters that were at a stalemate. The Prime Minister agreed to 3 of those matters, and 1 is in financial review. That's the facts. That's the facts. We have our Customs, Immigration, and Allied Workers Union, who did not participate today.
The Customs Union,
Customs and Immigration, based on our reports, did not participate today. However, they have issues. I mean, all unions have issues.
All unions have issues.
Let me qualify that. All unions have issues.
So you shocked me just now, because they have been vocal. I'm sure you've seen them on this show a few times. They have been vocal because they want some issues addressed. But you mean today, when all was to come together and make this major statement, they pulled back?
Well, they didn't participate, and I'm grateful to them, which speaks to some level of integrity, because President Brooks, we communicate. I know the issues. I remember he had some issues with accommodations of officers in office spaces in Bimini in particular. And I saw the photos, and I'm the Minister of Labor, and we're promoting decent working conditions. And I partnered with my Minister of Immigration and the Minister of Works, and we moved. It didn't happen overnight, but we moved into new facilities in Bimini. I know there's matters of allowances and overtime for customs that in the last meeting in December, when they brought it to me, my next place of visit was finance. The comptroller is now doing the paperwork and processing these overtime to be paid. So
what was today about?
Stuff is happening.
Wait now, see, but you have us confused. Hey, how y'all feel out there? How y'all feel? Because again, what was this attempt about today? Was Obie Ferguson flexing muscles he doesn't have?
Let me finish, Shanae.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I want to lay it out, and I want to be transparent.
Yes.
As a Minister of Labor, I believe that there's transparency. I'm never going to sit and say there are not issues, because I see the commentary, they say it good. Things are much better than they've ever been. But is it perfect? No. There are issues, and we continue to resolve and work through the issues. The Immigration Department also spoke about succession planning, HR issues, promotions. The Minister of Immigration committed about 9 months ago to sit and strategically work with the directors on a succession plan. It doesn't happen overnight. We're building an organization. That proposal is complete. The Immigration Department, that comes in tandem with a promotion package, because if we're saying we're going to facilitate the succession plan at the top level, we need to know who's going to fill those posts. And we had to have an interim director of labor, director of immigration, who filled the post before, was brought back to fill the void temporarily, and that has been communicated while we work out this plan for future. The Department of Immigration submitted this promotions package to the Ministry of Public Service on the 23rd of December, 2024, a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And we are working on it. Things are being worked on, Shanique. We ain't, let me say it in Bahamian vernacular.
Go on.
We ain't slunking on nothing. Certain things take more time than others. That's the reality.
But it seems as though you are really making a very genuine attempt to address even issues that precede you, issues that went back like years ago, because I've interviewed several presidents, union presidents, over the course of even last year, for example, and they talked about issues that have been long-standing, that issues that you met in office when you came. But the point is, it seems as though you're trying to chip away at each one and ensure that they are being addressed in maybe not as timely as everybody would want, but as thoroughly and as beneficial to everybody involved as possible.
Shanique, I, as the Minister of Labor, have committed, and our government has committed, to respect the rights of our workers and unions. You know, people say, oh, they're striking. They have a right, if it's legal, if it's done in a legal way. But we insist that disputes are addressed through good faith negotiations, not through public disruptions. We're mature, we're professional. Let's model the behavior that we want to show the young people when it comes to conflict resolution, when it comes to mediation and negotiations. So, Shanique, yes, there are legacy matters. But another thing that people don't take into consideration is we operate based on policy. So while I would like to, in my private sector HR mentality, just sign off and make it happen, it doesn't work that way in the public service. There is process. However, because some of the process may not make too much sense or may be antiquated and may not be serving the purpose where at this stage of a digitized world, we don't need a 12-step process. We maybe can engage a 4-step process. What do? In July of 2024, we conducted the first historic labor legislative symposium where I invited all of the tripartite, the government agencies, the employer confederations, the trade unions, to come and sit at the table. I didn't even sit with them. I opened and I closed. I let them sit and hash out, what about these employment laws? What about these industrial relation laws? What about general orders? What about the Public Service Act? Should we change? Should we improve? Should we amend? Should we bring forward to the 21st century? That is what it's about. It's about, yes, there's the issues and we're working on them, but what do we do to ensure that we don't get to this place again? We're doing the work. I sit here confidently and say,
so we're really
the work.
Working to bring about industrial harmony, of course, knowing that unions will always agitate more and further for more benefits for their workers, particularly as we deal with things like inflation and cost of living and all the rest of it. So that will be ongoing. But the things that have been there packed away and shoved in a corner, and even those newer things that have emerged, you've been working on them.
Yes,
well, before we talk about the MOU, let's listen to one of the presidents who stood up over the weekend. In fact, overnight, she did this and very vocal. People were quite surprised to hear her stand up and say, listen, we don't support this. Whatever this is, being on that run, we are going to honor the process. Here is BUT President Belinda Wilson.
We are not NOT participating in any form of industrial action tomorrow, Monday, January the 13th, 2025. So, Mr. Prime Minister, you can breathe easy tonight. However, I want to place you, Mr. Prime Minister Philip Davis, the Minister of Education, Glenys Hanna Martin, and the Minister of Labour and the Public Service, Pia Glover Roll, on notice that the patience of the affiliates of the Bahamas National Alliance Trade Union Congress is running out. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
I almost thought Belinda was talking about TikTok, but listen, again, though, she made clear, Minister Glover Rolich, that her union, the BUT and the umbrella union in which she heads, is not behind today's supposed strike that did not happen, national strike and shutdown of the country in essence. But she's saying address some issues outstanding. What are some of those issues that she wants addressed?
All of the teachers' issues are human resource related issues that were by the thousands, well over 1,000 when I came in office. I know President Wilson has stated that she has about 400 and some outstanding. We're getting there. We're doing the work. It's a very tedious and frustrating process, but we're not letting up. We have dedicated teams that President Wilson is familiar with in our Ministry of Public Service, who is doing the work diligently, and I boast of the public service staff everywhere I go, and the Public Service Commission. They are working 7 days a week, because realistically, the issues and our legacy issues that are so large in number that it requires around the clock work. But we are making a dent. Everybody wants their issues to be handled first. We get it. Everybody wants to be priority. We get it. And I think the teams led by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Service are doing a yeoman's job in getting putting as much attention on every ministry and every department in our country. Every ministry and department in our country can say they've seen some progress on their legacy issues. So I hear the President. She knows I commit to continue to work with her along with our team. She knows there are some policy matters that we've been working directly on. She knows that I consult, we ask, how do you think we should do this? And she's given her advice. We're working together, and that's what it is. But of course, union presidents have a right to agitate and advocate for their members. She must continue doing what she does, but as the minister and our team at the Ministry of Labor and Public Service, we're going to continue doing what we do, which is the work for the people. Did
the PLP, when trying to garner support in 2021, this MOU that is more popular, just as popular perhaps as your MOU, PLP, PLP, MOU, where does that stand? Was it a good idea? And if it was, is it actually doing what it was proposed to do?
I am glad you asked about the infamous MOU.
Listen.
The MOU that is 96% complete in terms of delivery on items.
You're kidding. You mean the
yes,
list you all made on the MOU that everybody signed off on? This ain't it, by the way. It's just me for emphasis. That every union member who attended and participated and agreed signed off on. You are saying you're 96% have checked off those things?
Most of the matters are what we have built our labor plan on in terms of the Progressive Liberal Party. Industrial agreements have been signed. Retention bonuses have been received. Improved benefits for workers. There's some other stuff in there too. But let me continue. Union executives being given justice of the peace positions. Union executives being placed on boards.
Hold on, you mean this was part of the demands of the MOU?
So,
Minister
96%.
Minister Pia Glover Roll, you ain't gonna say that and get out of here. You trying to say, instead of these union leaders, presidents, which fine, they're agitating, they're advocating for their membership, and that they have done in this MOU. But are you saying a little clause in the MOU say, and we gonna need, Mr. Prime Minister, what else we gonna need if you've been, what else, and you did, so we gonna need that little thing. We gonna need board appointments, we gonna need vehicles, we gonna need, what? This was a part of this was a part of the negotiation and agreement of the MOU?
Shanique, 96% of the MOU has been delivered.
But who is it?
There are
But
a few
who are the union
outstanding
presidents?
items. Let me tell you
I
about.
hope you're listening.
Let me tell you about some of the outstanding items that are still being worked on our work in progress. And the Prime Minister has spoken to Mr. Ferguson in particular about these matters.
What Obi Ferguson got?
I think you should bring him on the show. But anyway,
I've tried.
Shanique, let me say this with the Memorandum of Understanding. It's what has guided. So everything that you see we're achieving with Labour, we go by the MOU. It's in our blueprint, in fact. But I will say that there are some outstanding items. Let's talk about two that I can think of off the top of my head. The renovation of the House of Labour. That's been discussed with the Prime Minister. The government cannot provide 100% funding to renovate the House of Labour. We need the TUC to meet us.
But isn't the House of Labour
put some skin in the game.
Independently owned?
We're talking about the MOU. So the MOU
Okay, this is what you all agree to, so I blame you.
also
Okay, go ahead.
speaks to...
Because how many Bahamian people benefit from a newly renovated, multi-state-of-the-art House of Labour?
Well, we also have
You all play this MOU.
outstanding.
Really, you know what? Bring the MOU to the show. Let's look and see what else is being demanded. Go ahead, Minister.
We also have outstanding where the unions are looking for land. The Prime Minister is doing, the lands is doing an audit of Crown land that is available.
So I understand they
And
want
I'm
that.
sure
They want that for their headquarters.
The unions want parcels of land. That's a
For-
part of the MOU. So, Shanique, but my point is this. I, as a Minister of Labour, and I try to purport and give accountability and integrity in my role. When we talk about an MOU where, in one instance, the same president of the union says, we signed the MOU, how come everybody benefiting from it? And we say, we signed the MOU
to benefit
the entire all unions.
So I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
You was wait, Mr. Minister, don't run ahead. See, I know what she mean. She mean there's a big deal that was made. When they met with this MOU, there were some unions union presidents who decided they want nothing to do with it, they're not going to sign it. So the MOU was agreed and signed. The PLP won is now the government. And so what those people who are around the table and are asking, well, how come so-and-so them who didn't support it, wasn't there, didn't sign, didn't agree, how are they benefiting as well?
So they asked the question,
this little trifling stuff
how's
happening.
everyone benefiting when we say we're the government for everyone? And if all unions will benefit from the Memorandum of Understanding for trade unions. But you said that you're saying that the memorandum isn't being fulfilled. But you're complaining that the benefits are also being enjoyed by other unions. So which one is it? Shanique, the message for me today is, what is it? What is it? You can't say one thing in a meeting, in a closed room, and say something else in the media, or pretend as if what is happening is not happening. Again, I go back as the Minister of Labour. Everything we do is able to be checked off and qualified. So I will not allow, and it's not about me, Shanique. The Minister of Labour doesn't do the work, but the public servants who do the work in the Ministry of Labour and Public Service, their work will not be discredited and swept as if they are doing nothing. They are working hard, 7 days a week. Our labor relations consultants signed 53 agreements with one more on the way this week, and I will not allow anyone to discount the work that the people who work in the Ministry of Labour and Public Service do by thinking they're taking political jobs, because the minister isn't the technical person that's doing the work. The people are doing the work, and they get upset when they hear, we ain't delivering, we ain't doing nothing, and they working so hard.
Are there personal agendas at play here?
I guess, Shanique, I can't say. All I know is we are working on behalf of the Bahamian workers, and I take it personally. When I take on a role, I take it seriously. The team has bought into the vision, and we are doing the best we can to ensure that we deliver on the promise as laid out in our blueprint for labor. Tell them, check the blueprint. See what we have accomplished. See what's left to be done. I can assure you that our list is virtually complete.
Moving forward, this year, let's just even deal with 2025. What's your hope for labor relations and getting issues that are, just about signed off, just about agreed to, all these things that apparently appears to sort of be like right here, ready for, according to what you've said, and even what many of the unions are saying. What's the plan moving forward in the immediate future to get those things squared away, tucked away, and presented and agreed?
I am very excited, Shanique, about our labor legislation reform. Another initiative that is getting international attention. I've been invited, the end of this month to Saudi Arabia. They want to hear. I'm the featured speaker. They want to hear.
You're kidding. Well, I know
about what we're doing.
At a number of labor organizations and conferences and meetings, not knowing that they are asking you what is how you are able to create such harmony and get things done and moving forward.
Yes, they are. And it is important for us to ensure that we continue the social dialogue. It's important for us to ensure that our labor legislation reform makes it to Parliament and gets passed, because it's not the government's work. It's the tripartite's work. It's the trade unions, it's the employer confederations, and the government seeking to see how we could improve the labor legislation, the framework that will ultimately seal everything else we've done. So we're doing the work, but we have to make sure that the foundation is solid, and that's the legislation. And that helps us now to move matters forward even more swiftly. My goal is to continue the social dialogue, to continue to work, and to get the matters resolved for the people.
Minister Pia Glover-Roll, thank you for spending considerable time here with us this evening on Beyond the Headlines and really addressing what's a very important issue as it relates to labor relations, labor harmony. After all, these are industries that are the engine and the wheels of the nation. And so everyone was up in arms about what to expect today. Gladly, it did not happen as was projected. However, though, we also wanted an update on what's really happening in labor, which you provided quite nicely here this evening. It appears as though you're really doing a great deal, backed up and supported by so many union presidents. And even the fact that many of them refused not to participate today also says a lot. I thank you for stopping by this evening.
It's a pleasure.
And looking forward to sitting down with you further on perhaps when many of these other outstanding matters are cleared away, and come back and talk about those as well. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. My pleasure. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, the Hot Topics panel is here. We're going to talk about that, what was supposed to happen today, what didn't, fortunately, and also a lot of what the minister had to say, and a lot more. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're back right after this.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance management. Nobody does it better.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. You guys, your thoughts about that interview with Minister of Labor, Pia Glover-Roll. Certainly a lot that she had to say, and I tell you, many people are happy this evening that the national strike didn't happen, or sick out over the next 2 days. That didn't really go as was being reported. We're going to get right into it this evening. I'll tell you, I spoke with a number of persons in Grand Bahama, here, several people throughout the island here in New Providence, and really the same sentiments were expressed. We're going to hear from the Hot Topics panel. We're going to see exactly what they thought, what perhaps people were saying where they were today. And so welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquest. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Pleasure to be back.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, first of all, were you watching as this played out since yesterday? Sort of later in the day yesterday, and then obviously the thoughts heading into today of what possibly could have happened.
You know, Shanique, I think everybody was expecting chaos today in terms of, a lot of the, members not showing up to their posts and, just creating a lot of more backlog of what we've seen, in government agencies. But it leaves you to think, and I'm a person that come from the private sector in terms of, my background. And, I always ask myself in terms of union leaders, what it is, are they only looking for what benefit themselves? Because to me, it's very disingenuous to say one thing and then, you saw the minister come and say, something totally different in terms of things being addressed. We know that things in the government sector takes, a long time. I think the administration also needs to focus on trying to be more efficient in terms of how do we speed these things up, make it not as, cumbersome or tedious for persons who want, at the end of the day, we all know Bahamians are still hurting, electricity bills, things of that sort. People want their monies in their pockets, they want it like yesterday. They've done the work, they've done what's been, what they deserve. So I think that's where a lot of the,
Friction comes in.
A lot of the friction comes in because people at the end of the day, they can't pay their light bill. They're trying to afford, to put food on the table for their kids. So this is where, governments need to bring efficiency in terms of how do we take these agreements, where they be, at the end of the day, a lot of the unions agreed to certain things before the actual government came to power. And, it's sad to see that you want to have union leaders want to play politics with the people, with their members, because that's not, that's not in the interest. At the end of the day, if you're saying you're representing your union members, represent them. Because we've seen it over and over for some, union leaders. They come out and they make all these noise, and all of a sudden they go into a room. Either they cut a deal, and next minute they go quiet, and then but you still have your members still wondering, okay, what happened here? What came out of what you all actually discussed. So I always had questions in terms of, are leaders actually representing their members and representing them efficiently and ensuring that, they're actually working for them and not for themselves?
I've found in my experience, especially with BEC, serving almost 10 years, executive chairman for 5, that most of the union leaders really looking out for themselves. In most instances, they have an agenda, all their own. And I have found, from my experience, that they don't represent the total views of the people that they represent. For example, they would go to the government and say, well, we represent this segment of society, these are our workers. They cannot tell those people who to vote for. No political party should fall into that trap that we need you to win a government. It doesn't work that way. And people would tell you, they do not tell me who to vote for. Now, if they want to go on strike and I can get a couple of dollars more, fine, I can get that. But I think today it all fell apart. It shows you that the bravado that was expressed yesterday began to close the country down for 2 days and began to show them who was in charge. Well, the people, the ordinary person who goes to work every day with their kids, try to get their kids to school. School just opened last week. Why am I going on strike when the government is sitting with me? See, the one thing you got to give Mr. Davis credit for, he's an easy guy to get to and get along with. He listens to you and he tries to get it done. But to sit with him and you come to some arrangement that's not moving as fast as you would wish it to do, why would you want to go on strike and disrupt an economy that is already on the edges, that's just trying to come back from chaos?
Obviously the
I mean, it
unions...
doesn't do anybody, it's not the interest of anyone.
It's foolish.
Obviously, unions felt that way in general because, as you saw, this is exactly what several of them came out publicly and said. No, they're not supporting it. The negotiations are going well. They're negotiating in good faith, trusting the process. Now, government, though, get it up, speed it up.
But in addition to that, you have many of the former union leaders are now consultants to the government of the Bahamas, are paid consultants. In other words, the Bahamian people is paying them to work for on our behalf as well as the union's behalf to have harmony. So you would think that with that sort of complexity that the government has put into place, we want to avoid strikes if we can. Therefore, you have men and women who are learned in this area. They know how to get along with each other. Why would one of them or two of them want to say, well, let's strike anyhow? To prove what? And then politics creep into it. Then you get an FNM PLP debate that has nothing to do with the subject matters that's on the table. Pay me my money. For example, the situation with customs. If those people work and you with them for the last couple of years, pay the people the money. What's the problem?
And that's, at the end, and this is where it's such a vast difference between the private sector and the government sector. At the end of the day, that'll never fly in the private sector because at the end of the day, everybody will be involved. Because how can you have private members of whatever corporate entities not being paid what they deserve?
Exactly.
So I can't find it. Why is it that governments would find it, suitable to say,
it makes no sense.
It goes on 4 or 5 years that you have people that have worked hard for their money.
Okay.
Longer than that, Michael.
Some of these
overtime
and everything
Some
else.
of these problems have been lingering, whether it's payment,
why?
whether it's promotions, whether it's evaluations, have been lingering for many years. It's taking people for granted.
Some of the people on the Ministry of Works.
But Shanique, something, when you look at bonus systems and promotions and things of that sort, that a lot of the union agreements that some of those I don't agree with, because at the end of the day, not because you've been at an organization for so long, you should be automatically put up for promotion. At the end of the day, you have to prove, you have to produce work. And this is the issue that we're having in a lot of government sectors, whereas though people go to work, sit on their hands, and then we as private citizens are trying to get, whether it be a business license, whatever it may be, or get certain things done, we get held together.
I agree. It should not be social promotions, social increments, none of it. You work for it. That is why the public service is the way it is.
Out of 10 mothers and fathers, especially in the family islands in New Providence, want their child to work for government because they want that benefits at the end of the day that I'm going to get my salary and I'm going to also get my pension. Now in our time that was good. We have no pension, and the pension is so minuscule to begin with. I mean, a teacher with a master's degree that taught for 40 years will not take home $2,000 a month. It's outrageous, but. But
then you look at how many government workers that are on contracts and have been on contracts for decades, 10 years, and I mean they basically have no benefits, nothing of the sort, but they just go from one contract to the next.
But in addition to that, when I was at BEC, we had 2 studies done, one by a German company, one by a Canadian company. What is the volume? What is the production level of our people that are making all these demands? In both cases, was less than 50%.
No, they don't.
Less than 50%.
But that is why we talk about the foreign element.
Bahamas is the lowest in this hemisphere.
Yes.
And this is why we have no efficiency. This is why productivity and efficiency. And you have people who don't even come to the table trying to say, hey, this is how we can be more efficient if we were to do X, Y, and Z.
But then you question also union representation because and it's good. It's good to have union representation in a workplace. However, though,
it could be good and
I'm getting to that. For the business owner, including the public service, it is sometimes a disservice to have union representation because why? Jack come to work and he's sitting on because he eating breakfast and then right after breakfast, instead of getting to work, he's planning what's for lunch. Then maybe he will do a little bit of work in the little hour in between there, and then after that he's waiting for lunch to come.
I believe the greatest insult is when you look at the disparity of pay between the government, regular workers in the different ministries, and say a company like Batelco and BEC and water and sewage, their salary is about 40% above the other government workers who
But you
work
know-
hard or harder than them.
But what you have seen, and what
it's
you've
not
seen
fair.
over the years, and when you see, I mean, for example, I mean, now BDC, which is now Liberty Latin America,
Yeah.
a lot of private entities are coming in and putting in standards and requirements, whereas though persons, the way it used to be
Yeah.
back 20, 30 years ago is not the way it is today. I can tell you that in BTC, you have requirements that have to be met at the end of the year. They do end of year reviews,
Yeah.
and this is why you're seeing certain places becoming more efficient. They're not where they need to be.
And most of them are on
but at the end of the day,
They're
we
on
still
contract.
have union agreements that are in place
Yeah.
that still are protecting a lot of unproductive employees
Yeah,
that are just.
non-productive.
And the Bahamas,
Yeah.
they're saying the workforce in the Bahamas is largely an unproductive one, an
It is.
an
It
underskilled
is, there's no
one,
doubt about that.
an
Under 50%.
underskilled one.
And
it's
we
something
see it
that,
every day.
yes, unions must pay
Every day.
attention to
Yeah.
that.
Every
People
ministry.
want to show up to work, be on WhatsApp and go on their computer,
Yeah.
surf and shop
The
and
whole
this,
day.
that, the next. Then
The whole
there's a
day.
whole, and and people don't care. At the end of the day, people don't care if whether a company is profitable or not.
Profitable. No, that's not
Whether
their
an
concern.
organization is profitable or not.
Yeah.
At the end, I just need my paycheck at the end
I
of the day.
need my money to go on my account on Friday, please. That's all I. Yeah.
And then most of them, when the money do get their account, what you call these things, direct debits or
Oh, they take everything else.
what you call. I can't remember the name. Salary deduction.
salary deductions,
deduction.
yes.
As quick as they get
Worst
it,
thing
it's
ever
all,
happened.
it's all gone. So a lot of them can't even afford.
No.
If they were to lose a job,
Yeah.
some of their homes would be wiped out. Things of that
No
sort.
doubt about it.
Yeah. And so, again, we are very happy that national strike/sick out did not happen. The nation didn't
Now what's
need
going to
it.
happen tomorrow, though? They said 2 days.
Well, if they
Is it
didn't do
finished now?
if they didn't do it today, you think they'll do it tomorrow?
I hope not.
What does it say for the TUC though, and O.B. Ferguson's
He
influence?
may be there by himself.
What does it say? What does it say for O.B. Ferguson's influence?
At the end of the day, like I said, I mean, for him to make such a big statement yesterday
Exactly.
and today, it's
flop.
basically a no-show. It says a lot. I mean, it speaks to a person's character in terms of whether I don't know if the support you thought you had, or you're just working in your best interest and not the actual.
I trust for
Individuals?
his own sake that he don't get into politics believing he can win something and go to the election like Namu start up. He'd be very, very disappointed. That's all I can tell you. Very disappointed.
That's how we got you back.
The Bahamians
Hold
don't
up,
listen,
now.
right?
I got you.
Don't listen, son. I tell you. Beyond the Headlines is backward after this. Stay close.
Yeah, he would laugh.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Thank you so much. Let's move this along. So listen, tonight, drug investigators from the United States targeting alleged international drug operations involving Bahamians. Well, Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell raised these concerns tonight about strategies being used that could be impacting Bahamians, placing them at the center of high-profile investigations. We get the story from Linton Ritchie, and then we come back and discuss.
It appears that American informants have actually induced Bahamians to fall into error.
With a number of Bahamian men finding themselves behind international bars due to alleged drug crimes, Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell expressing concerns to Eyewitness News of what he perceives as signs of alleged entrapment patterns at the hands of United States drug investigators. Last week, 2 cousins from Grand Bahama, Alfred Lang and Runo Lang, were arrested in waters off Pompano Beach and are now facing charges of attempting to allegedly smuggle approximately 188 kilograms of cocaine into the U.S. And international media reports indicate the family duo was already under watch by U.S. drug investigators due to a drug bust in summer of 2024. Mitchell says the alleged occurrence of Bahamians allegedly being lured in by United States investigators are becoming far too normal.
There's a pattern of conduct with American investigators and law enforcement officers of planting people to induce them to trap themselves into law enforcement problems.
But how much of a wrench can this throw into the country's reputation?
Partners might be unwittingly causing damage to our country by these inducements. So that's a concern. It does, at a superficial level, reputational damage on the country, but not at a fundamental level.
With that U.S. indictment levying allegations of an international alleged drug operation reportedly being orchestrated here in country, and that vessel leaving Bahamian waters driven by the Lang cousins, both reportedly under watch by U.S. officials, Mitchell says the ministry was not aware.
As far as the foreign ministry is concerned, no notice of these operations going through the Bahamas was ever provided to us. So that becomes a serious concern, which we have raised with our international partners.
However, he sends this message to those who may engage in criminal activity.
People are responsible for their individual behavior. They know that this kind of conduct exists. They know that that is the law enforcement modus operandi of U.S. officials. And so, caveat emptor, beware of what is out there, and do not get yourself into these traps.
Well, of course, you heard Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell say that, listen, Bahamians are being ensnared, entrapped. Gentlemen, your thoughts about that? I mean, are Bahamians is there an entrapment where Bahamians are concerned, or are Bahamians just seeing an opportunity to get something real quick and something substantial and just going into it or attempting to go into it?
Shanique, I don't know where the minister, I think maybe he's disconnected with society in terms of people just wanting that quick money. And this isn't nothing new to the Bahamas, No. This in terms of DEU agents being embedded in our society and them seeking out persons, whether they believe or have some inclination that somebody might be in the game, or people who want to be looking for a quick come up, and it's just greed. It's greed. So my thing is, it's not, come on, this isn't, the Bahamas is not new to the drug trade. This business has been around from the 70s, 80s. So we know what's been happening. This isn't something DU agents appeared in Nassau, came to myself and said, hey, you want to run a load or this, that, the next? Come on, they live here. They've been here for years. They've been in the marinas for years.
Right among us.
For many, many years. And we see it happen over and over and over. And it's been happening for decades upon decades. So I'm not sure we can't blame our U.S. partner for coming over and trying to say, okay, stop drugs from coming into there. I mean, we don't manufacture drugs, but at the end of the day, we have some persons, we just, and people want to take advantage and they put a quick dollar in their pocket, and of course, you have to suffer the consequences if they're caught.
It is hoped that Bahamians would have learned from what happened last year in this country when we were so disgraced by certain members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force and Defence Force. Why would you put your life at risk? Your children's life, your family life, your reputation finish for a couple of dollars. Why would you do it? Knowing that you're going to ruin somebody's life in another country and in our country too. We had enough of that in the 80s. We have to get out of this mental attitude that I want something for nothing. So I go into drugs. You will suffer the consequences. The consequences is death.
Or you want something quick. My father's always taught me nothing free
can last.
Can last. So at the end of the day, gold, ain't nothing better than putting in the work to reap your rewards.
Get the satisfaction of I work for what I get. This is mine. Nobody can tell me who I thief this from.
Yeah.
That's what life should be, and that's how we got to bring up our children. And all Bahamians should follow in the good footsteps. That if I do wrong, my country is going to be stained by it. So all of us have a collective responsibility to assist our country as best we can and to make us proud of each other. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
and those who want to get involved in it, then you're going to pay the consequences.
Exactly.
And it could be death.
And it might be enticing.
It could be death.
And sometimes when you get it, you can't get out.
You can't get out. Because I imagine it is quite enticing to when somebody is going to say, hey, just turn your head or do this for me and $100,000 is attached to it or whatever the payment
Young man got killed today.
Shanique, I tell people I've been in boats. I've been around boats all my life. I've been around marinas all my life, and you see sometimes you can see it. You can see when something isn't right, and you have people that just walk up to you out of the blue asking you to do certain things that is not. It isn't worth my life. It isn't worth my going to Fox Hill or anywhere. So
your reputation, your family,
exactly,
leaving them alone and behind, and
I rather work for my dollar. Okay, and at the end of the day, I feel
sleep good
exactly.
at night.
I sleep. I lay my head on my pillow. I don't worry about nobody knocking on your door.
Sleep. Nobody looking for you.
So Minister Mitchell, we don't buy that the U.S. is intentionally tricking people.
A man has to think wrong before he does wrong.
Before he does wrong.
Yep.
Got to think wrong before he does wrong. Remember that.
Even in tough economic times.
Got to think wrong before you do wrong.
Make a choice.
So basically, you're saying our people are still not educated enough to make their own decisions to say no.
Yeah.
They say no to drugs.
We don't buy that one. We don't buy that one.
Yeah.
We've been preaching that for you.
Gentlemen, I thank you both very, very much for hanging out this evening. Of course, thanks to Labor Minister Pia Clover-Roll at the top of tonight's show, and of course Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquist. Thank you both as well. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening. Hello, Freeport. You always watching. Good to have you and all the rest of you.
People who didn't go on strike.
And to all of you who worked the airports, who showed up at the hospital, who showed up in the classrooms, who showed up to work.
Yes. And the young doctors should have showed up. 90% of y'all didn't. Suppose I'd gone up there and get hit, knocked down, and I would have died. I'd have come back and beat the hell out of half of y'all, Suppose we'd have died for that, man. Get real, okay?
The doctors want to get paid. How you can say die for nothing?
Thank you so much. See you tomorrow night.